Welcome to another video of SPSS video series. The main purpose of making this video is to differentiate between a new macro process which has been developed by Andrew F. Hayes. Now, previously they were using the macro process 2.5 version, which is on this side, and currently they're using the process macro 3.5 version, which is on this side. So in this video we will talk about, first of all, the differences in the two macro processes. There are very slight differences, but still we need to know what are those differences, and then we'll also analyze some data related to their some of the model numbers, like model number 1, which is for simple moderation, model number 4 for simple mediation. We'll also talk about model number 6, and then eventually we'll talk about the moderated mediation using model number 7 and model number 14. But let's just first discuss about the difference between these two processes. So here we have these two PDF versions of their templates. So the previous version, which is 2.5, this was available in their download. But this third version, 3.5 version of macro process, which is being used for SPSS, this is only available if you buy their book. So this is given at the end of their book, which they have recently published. So starting from here, actually the 2.5 version had different models, starting from this model 1, which is used for simple moderation, and they go from here to a number of models. And if we just jump to the last model, and here you can see that 76th is the last model that they have given in this template. But on the other hand, if you talk about 3.5 version, they have given they have added some models, and moving from here onwards, if we just jump to the end, they have 92 models here. So that means they have added new models in their template, and obviously there are slight differences in how we'll be analyzing our data, and then how we'll be interpreting our results. So let's just go back to the model 1 in version 2.5, which is here, and the model 1 of version 3.5, which is here. So we have seen that there are 92 in the new version models and 76 in the previous version. Now, starting from the model 1, which is being used for simple moderation, what are the differences, and if there are any differences or not? So if you can see that x is our independent variable here, and y is our dependent variable here in the previous version, and m is taken as our moderating variable. Now in the new version, we can clearly see that w is taken as the moderating variable, but x and y are the same. What are these w's and m's? We'll talk about them when we'll move towards our SPSS analysis. Then moving towards, let's say, model number 4, which is used for simple mediation. The previous version has the model number 4 as the x as independent variable, y as dependent variable, and m1 as the mediating variable. So in the same case, if we just see the model number 4 in here, they are the same, x and x, y and y, and m1 and m1. So there's no change in model number 4. So if you want to know the analysis of model number 4 independently, you can go to one of the videos of mediation analysis, which is part 2, and you'll be able to understand that. Now let's just move towards model number 6, which is used for sequential mediation. And in the previous version, it used to be like this: x, y, m1, and m2. And in the new version, it is the same: x, y, m1, and m2. But we need to see that how they have changed the model number 7. Now, model number 7, if you're not clear about what this model is about, you can go back to part 1, there we have discussed a very detailed model of this thing, which is called moderated mediation. So if this moderator is going to moderate here in this path, then this mediator is going to mediate between independent and dependent variable. So here we can clearly see that there is no change. So x, y, m1, x, y, m1, and then moderator is taken as w. The same way, if you move to, for example, model number 14, which is also used for moderated mediation, in the previous version, they have this as x, y, m1, and v. In the previous version, it was considered as v. The moderator was considered as v. But in the new version, let's just see if they have changed it. Yes, in the new version, instead of v, now we'll have to see that w is taken as our moderating variable. So these are the few differences, and if you want to compare some more models, you can always compare different models, as there's a change in model number 15, and then there might be a change in model number 16. So as most of us, we do not go towards these complex analysis. So model 1, model 4, model 6, 7, and 14 are enough in order to know what have they really changed. So now let's just go back to our analysis part. And here we want to be very clear that we'll be doing analysis with model 1, which is for simple moderation, model 4, model 7, and model 14. We'll be using version 3.5. And if you want to use version 2.5, you can always go back to part 2, where you're going to find how we do these analysis using the version 2.5. So first of all, we'll be doing model 1 with creativity as independent variable, innovation as dependent variable, and creative culture as our moderating variable. And for our mediation analysis, which is model 4, we'll be using creativity as our independent variable, performance as our dependent variable, and innovation as our mediating variable. The other models that we'll use are model 7 and model 14. So for model 7, we'll be using creativity as our independent variable, performance as our dependent variable, innovation as a mediator, and culture for creativity as a moderating variable. And in model number 7, we'll be using the moderated mediation. But the only difference between the model number 7 and model number 14 is the position of moderator. Here is the model number 7, and here is the model number 14. So in the model number 14, we'll be using culture for innovation as a moderating variable. Now, let's just move towards our SPSS sheet and see if they have changed any results or anything. So this is our sheet. And first we'll be knowing that where can we find this macro process, and you need to install it. The installation process is the same for the 2.5 and 3.5 version, but if you've not seen that video, you can always go back to this playlist and you can see that how to install macro process. Now, how to analyze our moderation and mediation using these different models. So let's just go to our analyze and regression. Here you need to be very careful, because if you have for example, I have both the versions, that is 2.5 and 3.5 of the macro process. But if you have only downloaded the 2.5 version, it is going to be something like this: process by Andrew F. Hayes, and there's a website name. There's no version mentioned with this, or if there's a version mentioned with this, it's going to be 2.5. But in most of our softwares, this version is not working anymore. So if we just see this one, this is a process version 3.5 by Andrews F. Hayes. So for this video, we'll be using the latest one, which is 3.5. So you'll just have to click this one and you're going to see this kind of window. So this window is actually telling us about different variables from here. So remember when we were talking about W and V and Z? So these are those things. So let's just explore some of the more things that if you need to change the model number, you need to go from here. For example, by default, in the version 2.5, by default, there was model 4, but in the version 3.5, by default, there is model 1. So you can always change models from here, and let's just see that how many models do we have here. So we have the 92 models, which the new version has given us now. And if you see the old version, you'll only be looking at 76 models. So let's just go with the model 1. And model 1, remember that it is only for moderation analysis. And what did we discuss? We're just going to go back and see what was our moderation. So our moderation was creativity, innovation, and creative culture. So in our sheet, what we'll be doing is we'll be taking the composite variables, which is creativity is going to go here, X, innovation is going to go here, and then culture can go into which one? Now this time it's going to go to the W. So this is all that we need to do for our moderation analysis. If you want to change the number of bootstrap sampling, you can always change it to 1000 or 50,000 or anything, but by default, if it is 5,000, that is also fine. And there are some more things that you can do. You can also look at some of the plots that you can generate from here. For example, generate code for visualizing interactions, which is only used for moderation. And that's about it. You just need to go back and press OK. And here they're going to show you some of the results. If you see this running matrix is taking some time. And once we'll have the results, now here we can see that it is giving us some kind of explanation that model 1 is used and innovation, creativity, and culture are used as these variables. For example, independent, dependent, and then W is taken as a moderator. The sample size is 250. Now, some of the important things that we need to see. The first important thing that we need to see is the interaction term. So in front of this interaction term, what are the values? For example, my t values are 3.9666. They are significant. The lower level and upper level confidence intervals are fine. If you're not clear about these things, you can go back to our part 2. But simply, if the value of p is less than 0.05 or the value of t is above 2 with a plus or minus sign, you can say that the values are significant. And furthermore, the LLCI and ULCI, which are your lower level confidence interval and upper level confidence intervals, if the range of these two values does not contain 0, then you can say that they are significant values. Or in simple terms, if they carry the same sign, which in this case it is plus sign and here it is minus sign, both have the same sign, so you can say they are significant. The next thing which has been changed in this version is the R square change. This was not offered with the previous version, which was 2.5, but this 3.5 version offers this R square change. That is 0.0184, which means that 1.8% change is coming because of the presence of the moderator, and this is known as interaction term, which means X is multiplied with W, which means independent variable is multiplied by the moderator variable to create this variable, which was regressed with the dependent variable then. So this is also fine. We can say that there is some change, but then we have these confidence effects, which are more important. For example, this first value is talking about the effect of moderator when it has the lowest value. When the presence of moderator is little, the effect of IV on DV is 0.741. Now here, the effect of moderator is increased, so the value of beta between independent and dependent variable is also increased. And here the moderator is at its maximum level and the value is increasing. So, looking at this trend, you can say that with the presence of the moderator, which is from uh, coming from upper to lower end, the effect or the relationship between independent and dependent variable is also increasing. That means moderate if the moderator is there, the relationship is becoming stronger. So these are a few values that you need to see, and if you want to create the interaction graph, you can use this data. So this is how you can use the model 1. Let's just go to our model number 4, which we can use for our simple mediation analysis, and again analyze regression. And remember, we're using version 3.5. And here we can just go for reset. So we have all windows fresh. Now we just have to analyze the model number 4, which is, we'll just go back and we'll see what was our model number 4. So here, creativity, performance, and innovation. So creativity is our independent variable, performance is our dependent variable, innovation is our mediating variable, which will be taken as M. But remember that we'll be using model 4. So let's just go back to our SPSS sheet and see how can we analyze model 4. So first we need to change this model number into model number 4. Then we need to be clear, creativity is our independent variable, is going to go to this X. Performance is our dependent variable, so it's going to go here. And then innovation is our mediating variable. And there we saw that it's going to go to this M variable. Here it is mentioned. So it's going to go to M. You can go to some of the options and you can generate some of the effects. For example, here we can get the total effect model and rest if you want. Otherwise, it is fine. So continue, and again, if you want to change some confidence interval or number of bootstraps, you can do it, but we are fine with it. So let's just go and see what our results say. So running matrix, it is taking some time. Okay, here are our results, and it is saying that model number 4 has been used where performance was taken as dependent variable, which is Y, creativity as independent variable, and M, which is innovation, as taken as uh, mediating variable. So first of all, you need to see that if your creativity is okay with your innovation. So this is your independent variable and this is your dependent variable here. And the relationship is here. So it is fine. The T is above 2, far above 2. It is significant. So LLCI and ULCI does not carry 0 or does not carry 0 in their range, or they have the same sign, which means the values are significant. But the most important results that we need to see here is these ones, which is the total effect, direct effect, and indirect effect. You need to see part A of the same video in order to understand these things. But just to remind you, if you just see this mediation analysis, we can say that direct effect is the effect of the independent variable to the dependent variable, and indirect effect is the effect on dependent variable through the mediator. So this is the simple difference that we can use, and the total effect is the sum of direct effect and indirect effect. So let's just go to our analysis part and see what we got here. So total effect is 0.7982. The direct effect is 0.1299, and then indirect effect is 0.6683. Now, we also have to see if these effects are significant. So t value is fine, the probability is fine, p value, and LLC and ULCI are also fine. And direct effect, it is also fine, it is significant. The p value is less than 0.05, And here we don't get the p-values, but we get these boot LLCI and ULCI. And looking at these, we can also say that the value of indirect effect is also significant. So there is a mediation, and we can say that there is a partial mediation. And the reason of partial mediation is that because we also have this direct path which is significant. So this is how we use our model number 4 in the version 3.5 of macro process developed by Andrew Hayes. Now let's just move to our next model, which is our model number 7. And first we need to see that what is our model number 7 saying. So model number 7 is saying that creativity is our independent variable, performance is our dependent variable, this is our mediating, and this is our moderating variable. But this model 7 is only used for moderated mediation. Model 7 and model 14 are used for moderated mediation. And let's just go to our SPSS sheet and see how can we analyze this model number 7. So analyze, regression. Remember, we need to go to this 3.5 version. And here, now we need to be careful where we're putting what variable. So creativity again is going to go to our variable X. The performance is going to go into our dependent variable. Innovation is our mediating variable. But now we need to be careful that we need to put this creative culture in the W variable, which is saying that moderator variable. And don't forget to change this model number, which is going to be 7 for this time. So this is how we define our model, and just click OK. It's going to take some time as it is running matrix, and then it's going to give us some results. Now here are the results, and it is saying that you've used model 7, and these are some of the variables. That is dependent variable is performance, which is Y, and then independent variable as X. M is our mediating variable, which is innovation, and W is our moderating variable. Now here you need to be careful about a few steps, which is starting from this interaction term, which is saying that 3.99 this is significant. So after looking at this first indicator of interaction term, which is saying it is significant, then you can move to this lower table, the last one. Now this is saying or talking about the moderated mediation. Now what it is trying to say is that at this path, which is creativity, innovation, and performance, and at the conditional indirect effect of X on Y, this is the situation. Now we need to understand this one. So it is saying then that when the moderator is at the lowest level, which is 2.000, the mediation effect is 0.5283, and it is significant because both LLCI and ULCI contain the same sign. When you increase the level of the moderator, the mediation or the indirect effect also increases. And when you further increase the presence of the moderator, which is culture, the mediation role or the indirect effect further increases, and all of these three effects are significant because of these LLCI and ULCI values. Now, this is the indicator that with the increase of the moderator, the mediation effect is also increasing, and then index of moderated mediation is also showing 0.1433, and the boot LLCI and ULCI have the same sign, which means that there is happening the moderated mediation. So this is how you analyze your model number 7. Let's move towards our model number 14 and see how we can analyze moderated mediation in our model number 14. So let's just first look at this model number 14. What do we assume here? So we are taking the creativity as independent variable, performance as dependent variable, innovation as our mediating variable. And here the only difference is that in model 14, the moderator is becoming as a moderator between the mediating variable and the dependent variable. So let's just move to our SPSS sheet. And again, we'll be going to analyze, regression, and process by Andrew Hayes 3.5 version. So here, just need to press this refresh so we have a fresh window. And first, change this model number because we are talking about model number 14 now. So model number 14 has this X variable as creativity, innovation as our mediating variable, which is going to go to this M, performance as our dependent variable, which is going to go to this Y variable, and our W variable this time is going to be our culture. And because we have given it model 14, so it is going to understand that what is happening here. So let's just click OK. It's going to take some time. It is running matrix. Here are the results. So first of all, it is saying that you've used model 14 and these are the explanation of the variables and in what sequence have you used it. Performance as a dependent variable, creativity as an independent variable, uh, innovation as our mediating variable, and culture as our moderating variable. So the first indicator is our interaction term. And interaction term means that when you multiply the data of your independent variable with the data of your moderating variable, it creates an interaction variable. So this is significant because the t-value is significant at 0.0000 level, and the LLCI and ULCI does not contain 0 in their range. Also, they have the same sign. So this is the first indicator of your moderated mediation in model number 14. And then if you see, there is an R-square change, which is also significant. So this is another indicator of moderated mediation. Now, in order to understand this table, you need to see this path, which is saying creativity, innovation, and performance. But it is also saying that conditional indirect effect of X on Y of this culture, which means with the presence of the culture, how mediation results are changing. So here we can say that with the minimum presence of the moderator, which is our creative or innovative culture, the indirect effect of mediation is 0.5362. With the moderate effect of the moderator, which is the average effect, more than this minimum one, but less than the maximum one, the mediation effect, which is indirect effect, is changing. It is becoming 0.66. And then at the maximum presence of the moderator, the effect is coming 0.8127. And all of these values are significant because you can also say that the bootstrap LLCI and ULCI are also significant, having the same sign, or the values does not contain 0. And another important thing is the index of moderated mediation, and it is saying 0.1555, and then the LLCI and ULCI is showing the same sign, or their range does not contain 0. So here you can say that moderated mediation is happening in model number 14. So this is how you perform your model number 14 for a new version of 3.5 Andrew Hayes macro process. Thank you very much.